Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond Kizito. On Spectrum tonight we're reviewing the week, focusing on the sacking of ministers and the related implications. Yesterday, Saida Bumba and Edward Chidu quit their positions as Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, as well as Minister for General Duties in the Prime Minister's office, respectively, after government issued a statement indicating they were guilty. They were both guilty of causing financial loss to government. The two stayed defiant, insisting on their innocence, saying they acted within the laid down procedures as far as compensations are concerned. They were Ministers of Finance and Attorney General respectively, and are said to have sanctioned compensation to the Harbour Group and Rhino Investments over and above what had been recommended by an evaluation committee chaired by Chidu Makubuya. Already, John Nasasira, Mwesugwa Rukutana, and Sam Kutesa are not in office over abuse of office and causing financial loss in connection with the Chogam funds, while Kabakumba Masiko resigned over illegal use of UBC equipment. There are reports that other ministers could face investigations in connection with the use of UBC equipment and the fraudulent sale of the corporation's land. While the NRM government insists that the above developments are an indication that it is determined to fight graft, skeptics maintain that there are other individuals who remain at large, and yet they are culpable. Some people have argued that the resignations and allegations against several other ministers are a clear indictment on the entire government. The 9th Parliament has been praised for taking the lead in the fight against corruption and is being urged to do more, but its credibility is under question now after reports that MPs are going to receive 103 million shillings each to buy new vehicles. So as we review the week tonight, we'll look at the fight against corruption and the implications it's likely to have on the executive, Parliament and the governance platform in Uganda, especially as the country marks 50 years of independence. Our guests tonight, Honorable Matembe, former Ethics and Integrity Minister and Member of Parliament, former MP, now a human rights activist. You're most welcome, Honorable Matembe.
Good evening, listeners.
We're also joined by Honorable Mukitaale Birahwa, Member of Parliament for Buliisa County and Chairman, Committee on the National Economy. You're most welcome, Honorable Birahwa.
I think sometime this week.
Thanks, Edmond. Good evening, Radio 1 Fraternity.
I think we need to know from you, are you one of the broken MPs? I saw your name on the list of
We're also joined by Mr. Nicolas Opiyo, legal consultant and
anything is possible.
Legal consultant at AKIJUL, also a commentator on social and political affairs. You're most welcome, Nicolas.
Thank you very much, Edmond, and good evening, listeners.
Honorable Matembe, you are the first Minister for Ethics and Integrity. Looking at these resignations, do you think they came a little bit too late, or are they in good time? These resignations.
These two resignations,
yes.
These two came out too late, of course. They should have resigned much earlier. And in fact, since they didn't resign, the president should have taken action much earlier. But I would like the public listening to us not to be just blinded with these just two ministers. I want the public to look at the picture holistically. It is 1 year down the road of this government, which came into power against the big public outcry of resentment and all these oppression and what is it called, militarism and all that kind of thing, to show you that people resented the whole thing. Eventually, because of their force and power, their might and power, they entered government. But surely what has been happening since they took over government will vindicate the public, which had originally said this movement government is not taking us any further. I want the public to note, within 1 year of the new government, 6 substantive ministers holding big positions
have quit
in relation to corrupt practices, having caused such big fantastic sums of loss of money to Uganda government. Let me tell you, Minister of Foreign Affairs, that is a very, very big ministry. The former Minister of Transport and current Chief Whip of government, is a big thing. Yes, one who ensures discipline is a big thing. And then you have also Rukuta Naman. And then now Kabakumba, who was originally the Minister for National Guidance. Can you imagine information and national guidance, guiding people to which direction? And by the time she resigned, she was the minister in charge of the presidency, the whole government, the presidency. And then now you talk to me of former Minister of Finance, can you imagine? And then former Minister of Justice and Attorney General. Goodness me, one statement I want to say, that these kind of affairs, if this was a European country, I am telling you, the government would have given up, would have said, please, ladies and gentlemen, we are sorry, we have let you down, we have gone home. And failure of that now, since it is not desirous of doing that, since the current government is not shame, it lost sense of shame long ago, what I would call upon our parliamentarians, the 9th parliament, please get into motion of moving a vote of no confidence in this government. That's the message that the public is receiving, and that's the message that I'm saying.
Honorable Birahwa, we have had 6 resignations. As you give us your own comment on whether this came a little bit too late, could you tell us whether you think we now have a clean government? All the bad beans have been taken out.
First of all, I'll start with a teaser from my brother. It's better being broke, defending your people, than being recruited by the mafias who want every oil well and land in Buliisa and be rich. So I'm in a better position. Being broke, and it's now public knowledge, and I think I'm better off.
But don't be embarrassing and shameful
than being recruited. And again, you have earlier touched on the issue of the parliamentary integrity, the debate whether the 9th parliament will be, it's a negation of what they have exhibited by getting transport facilitation. That was discussing a symptom. Ideally, a member of parliament should get a vehicle like any public servant with government number plate, who is maintained by government, and if he leaves office, he must hand it over. Unfortunately, our economy cannot support that, and instead, the parliamentarians are now being held hostages for accepting a Muvumba, because 100 million buys a used vehicle. So it's very unfortunate we find ourselves in an economy which can't afford a vehicle like the one of my cow, an MP is senior than a cow. My forestry officer has a vehicle, my agriculture officer has a vehicle, but an MP, when you get a used one Muvumba, you are insulted. That is very but I think that is taking us away from real issues. Let's go to the real issues. Now it's parliament. Ugandans in Munyoro we say utagichumbo tagiokia sange hire. Don't steam it, don't cook it, but I want it ready. How? By sunlight or what? You want a strong parliament, and when parliament is checking executive, some people get discontented. I want to say, my own submission on the question of corruption is that I always want somebody to use his own conscience and take responsibility and not be pushed by a censor, not even the appointing authority. When conscience doesn't work, step 2 is the appointing authority should act. And if he doesn't, step 3 is censor. So I want to thank the 2 ministers for having saved parliamentarians that responsibility. Besides, they have said they have taken political responsibility, but not because they are guilty. So that is a debate for another day between them and their God. But the other investigation organs will do their part. So to me, it's commendable that in the Ugandan politics there is a new vocabulary of resignation. I think that's a good trend. Okay. Because I'm only interested in the recovery of the money. The disappointment is that Basaja Walawa is a businessman. You may not have a very good case suing a businessman who has got money through all due process of government due diligence. So that's again a debate for another day. But I am more interested in recovery of lost money than just people resigning.
Nicolas, do you think we now have a clean government?
Well, Edmond, in coalition governments in many parts of the world, if if more than 6 ministers have left office, that would lead to collapse of that government. But in a government like ours, the system is different. That all of the ministers can resign, but the government will still subsist. There will not be any requirement for early elections. But that said, I think that the ministers clearly didn't resign voluntarily. The statement of the leader of government business in Parliament indicated that they've been relieved of their duty. I think the insinuation that they resigned is wrong. I think they were relieved of their duties following ministerial committee investigations into their actions. But let me just say this. I think that action was a masterstroke from the NRM. In many ways, it averted a thorough debate on this issue. They poured cold water. They stole the thunder from Parliament by pulling this stroke off. Because by announcing at the very beginning of proceedings that this minister had been forced out of office, not resigned, they didn't resign, they were forced out of office, the government or the executive was able to take away that focus, that debate, that eager that MPs had for these MPs. And I think in many ways denied Ugandans a chance to even hear more about this whole transaction. Because remember, the discussion was only thoroughly confined to the committee.
Yes.
Outside of the committee, any other member of parliament could not now adduce new evidence, could not contribute. So that debate was killed.
So it's now dead. It's a dead.
That debate is dead.
Yes.
What we now await, though, is whether the DPP or indeed the Inspectorate of Government will take over this matter and prosecute them.
All right.
But
yes.
Thirdly, I think that these ministers should have resigned a long time ago. When you are the Attorney General and you are dropped to a lower ministry without portfolio. In fact, the president said I've taken them to lesser ministries because I knew that they were involved in this mess. Then they should have resigned a long time ago.
Or maybe you should not have appointed them in the first place.
You should not have appointed them in the first place, or they should have resigned a long time ago. That they stayed on until this time points to some scintilla of hope, that in them they had a hope that the NRM party might save them.
Right.
Unfortunately, it couldn't. It could not. Because every minister under Article 164, I think subclause 2,
yes,
has personal responsibility for mismanagement of any government fund under his docket.
All right, listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1. Tonight we are reviewing the week, focusing on the sacking of ministers and the related implications. Our guests, Honorable Stephen Mukitaale Birahwa, MP Buliisa County, also Chairman of the Committee on the National Economy, Honorable Matembe, former Ethics and Integrity Minister, now Human Rights Activist. She was also a Member of Parliament, and Mr. Nicolas Opiyo, legal consultant and commentator on social and political.
Just before you move on,
by sending a text message 7197. That is Spectrum message, question or comment, send it 7197.
Just before you move on, the question that Honorable raises is an important one.
Yes.
That does this government enjoy the moral legitimacy to rule this country?
Doesn't.
Okay. We'll talk about that.
In light of all this resignation, in light of all the accusations about corruption,
okay,
do they hold legitimacy morally to rule this country?
Okay. Honorable Matembe, let's talk about this graft, the fight against graft. How can it be rooted out of the government?
Let me tell you, for me, as long as there are no punitive measures on the people who are robbing this country, corruption will just continue to flourish. And I had said it long ago, even when I was the Minister for Ethics and Integrity. As long as people are not punished to make corruption highly risky, corruption will continue to flourish. This action of resignation of ministers, did you see how they were in fact, they were just enjoying it. And even I saw Kabakumba being even escorted by the Minister of Ethics, and they were just, they are just enjoying it. Because let me tell you, they are just stepping out of office, but they continue to earn all their finances, they continue to eat very well, they continue to earn everything, they continue to enjoy, and Ugandans are being bluffed. Look at all the money that we lost in Chogam. Because for me, my issue on Chogam was, even with this President Riyad, for me, I had clearly said, and I want to repeat it today, that our President Museveni, has no political will at all to fight corruption, because he was compromised long ago. He runs a government of patronage. He runs this government on the basis of corruption. Corruption is the fuel that fuels the engine of running this government. Therefore, as long as there is no punishment, resignation of these people is not punishment. They are there in where? In their offices. After all, a minister first earns first and foremost as the member of parliament. They're in parliament, they're enjoying whatever they used to enjoy. Only maybe the vehicles of government and that kind of thing, but they are enjoying. As long as they are not punished to bring them money. You know, Chogam, it's fantastic sums of money got lost. For me, what I wanted the president to do was, look here, you Honorable Mbabas or Honorable Tesa or whoever you are, when you was pretending over a certain ministry, did that ministry lose funds? Did we lose? Did government lose? If it lost, how? Where did the money go? That's what I want to see. Even in this current case, and this one is a very clear case, I have read the Prime Minister's statement, which was saying the President has decided, what? No. He says, in view of the above, the Cabinet Committee concurs with the PAC Committee report that there was substantial financial loss to government and the public. There is a criminal offense called causing financial loss.
So we should wait for the debate.
It is very, very clear that they have caused financial loss to this country. At least let's begin by prosecuting this very one. But let me remind you one thing, which the public should listen, which was a very big shock to me.
Yes.
When I read in the press the letter of supposedly written by the former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Chiduma Kubia, telling President Museveni, seeking his pardon and saying, please sir, your excellency, if you don't defend me and I'm touched, I'm prosecuted with our debt, the debt which we've been doing together, me and you, the ministry, the state attorney's office, what the debt, the evil, the wrong things that we've been doing with you are going to be out into the public.
Nicolas Opiyo, will the bank governor survive?
Well,
central bank governor.
You see, the question of the survival of the central bank governor is a question that I think can be best answered by him. But I think that he ought to take responsibility.
Well, he's already spoken. The central bank has spoken through the director for public relations, saying, Janti Wamwere said these are allegations and he's not going to resign.
Well, see, unlike ministers who are political appointees, the governor bank of Uganda cannot take political responsibility.
Yes.
You know, if he's found to be wanting in his office, then he can actually be removed by parliament or by a court order.
He can only. What does the constitution say? Because he is mentioned in the constitution, I believe.
He's a contracted person. He's a contractor of
5 years.
5 years.
He just signed a 5-year contract, 1 year now.
Yeah, exactly. So he's bound by the terms of his contract. If he's found to have violated his contract by being incompetent or causing laws, then perhaps that clause in his contract can be invoked. And
do you think he could be plucked out? You think it?
Well, I don't think he can, because you see, the thing is, you've got to understand the entire context under which this system operates.
Yes.
I mean, somebody said that without corruption, this government cannot survive.
Why do people say those things?
It is the fuel, the lubricant of the engine of the state. Okay, without corruption, the government cannot survive.
But don't you know that this is a government of patronage, where even getting jobs, even renewing contracts? By the way, did you know that all these public, is it parastate or public constitutional organs, even those which they were all given third term, fourth term, can you imagine? Because certain people's term are supposed to stop. This is given as a token, as a scratch my back, I scratch yours.
I would be unfair if I don't commend the Parliamentary Accounts Committee for a job well done, for a thorough report, well investigated, which actually halted the censor efforts by members of Parliament, because we thought it would be proper. Because in the fight against corruption, let us not make it an inquest. Let us, Parliament not become a court and usurp the powers of other investigative organs and authorities and other organs which can do the prosecution. So I'm happy that again there is another on the scorecard of the procedure of the way it's done without much inquest, that there is a report, members held their fire, and until the report was there, a decision was made. But there's also another good development in the country, that I saw a meeting point of the Parliament agreeing with the Attorney General's report, but also for the first time an interministerial government position agreeing. You see, we should look at institution building, not just discussing personalities and we trivialize all efforts. This was very good, because even the governor whom we are talking about, Professor, who has had very many accolades in the last 1 year as the best performer in Africa, globally, when he comes back from where he is going to meet the same interministerial committee so that to check the information before government and what has been revealed by the parliamentary committee is in agreement, and then action will be taken. So to me, I am more interested in the effort started from the time when Honorable Matembe was serving as a minister. The institution building, the institution of IGG, the institution of Auditor General, which is present as created by Parliament where he was, all these institutions must be seen to work, and we need to enable them. And for me, I would be happy if NINE's Parliament and government can make contributions towards making these investigations prosecuted up to the final detail. And as I said before, what I would want to see happening is recovery. But finally, corruption is not partisan. Nobody steals for his party, nobody steals for his village.
Honorable Macha, I hope you are listening.
This time round, you saw government, independents, and opposition working in unison. And that's the kind of unison required if corruption. But if we say he's NRM and he's opposition, then people are going to hide.
We'll be back to station.
Something new on the horizon.
Get your weekend started with the Kampala Sun. More gossip than your local bar, more photos than your phone can store.
The one-stop paper for news on celebrities, sports, and the corporate scene.
Get your copy every Friday for just 1,000 shillings.
The Kampala Sun. It used to be that when we paid our bills, we had both feet on that ground for ages in a long line of strangers. But now, we pay bills instantly with our feet relaxed in front of the TV while we watch football with friends. You don't have to queue anymore. Pay your utility bills with Airtel Money, a simple, secure and instant money transfer that leaves you with all the time to do the things you love. Pay your bills, send and receive money, top up, access your bank account and withdraw Airtel Money across all InterSwitch ATMs countrywide. So, visit any Airtel shop today and register your SIM card. Airtel Money helps your money do more.
John, Mike and I, we go back a bit. We knew John at the beginning, working for someone else. But he was different. He had vision, saw opportunities. He started working towards his goal, opened his own garage, and worked, learning the hard way. His reputation spread. Trust, consistency, quality. Soon people were coming to him from all parts. He made himself and his whole street prosper, and also helped friends, seeing potential in people and helping them on. But John never shouts about all his success. He's just who he is. Special.
So here's to men like John, who make a difference, who enjoy Nile Special, the rich, satisfying taste from the source. Nile Special. You've earned it.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
Welcome back to Spectrum on Radio. Tonight we are reviewing the week, focusing on the sacking of ministers and the related implications. Our guests tonight, an interesting panel. Honorable Miriam Matembe, the first Ethics and Integrity Minister. She was MP from Barami.
And the only one, by the way, others are ministers of state.
And the most ethical.
I'm the only full cabinet.
You cannot judge yourself. Allow the public.
This is the position which I'm explaining to you. There is no full cabinet minister except
ministers
me.
of state. She's also she's not a human rights activist.
I see the performance.
She's been
Even in performance, my dear, the public has been engaging me. Hey, don't provoke me, my dear.
We have Honorable Mukitaale Birahwa, Member of Parliament for Buliisa County and Chairman of the Committee on the National Economy, and Mr. Nicolas Opiyo, Legal Consultant at AKIJUL. You don't call in. We'll take a few calls towards the end of this show so you can contribute. I'll read out the numbers when that time comes. Honorable Matembe, what are some of the institutional weaknesses that led to this kind of problem? Basajja Balaba being given properties, government properties, him not planting a single flower and then asking for compensation and getting it.
We had a master plan for this.
But for me, as far as I know, Basajja Balaba, I don't know whether he's a conduit for NRM government, because surely, and I'm saying I don't know, I think we need to do survey research on this matter, because which case has not involved Basajja Balaba and the order of the president, help this good entrepreneur, help this, and when the votes come in Bushenyi, me I'm in Bushenyi, whoever is not supported by Basajja Balaba doesn't win. Last time Basajja Balaba even invaded the office of the chairman, found it in Honorable Ndhura's place and locked everything. In Bushenyi, Basajja Balaba is the king of Bushenyi because of the money that he keeps getting all the time. So for me, this Basajja Balaba man, and he flourishes on bribe. Me, I want to tell the whole public, the ministers, the members of parliament, if you want to stay free, you people, be careful about Basajja Balaba. I also had my encounter with him. I had an encounter with him when I was the Minister of Ethics, when he wanted to dig up City Square and make it Simanye shopping
underground.
So for me, I want to stop there on Basajja Balaba. But I want to look at our own people. I want us to discuss this whole issue. You talked of institutions.
Yes.
The institutions in Uganda have thoroughly been undermined. When NRM came here, they came with an intention to build institutions so that they may take precedence over individuals. But somewhere down the road, I think it came to be clear to the leadership that when you build institutions, then you are building democracy. And when you build democracy, then you not have powers to rule over everybody. Therefore, the intention to build institutions stopped and undermining of institutions started. For instance, I want to assert that cabinet as an institution is severely and seriously undermined.
What do you mean? You used to sit on that cabinet?
Yes, I used to sit there and I used to talk and I used to see, if you know how many times I suffered for my open mind.
Well,
but those things happen in cabinet. For me, I used to talk until, of course, I got off. But the institution is undermined by the nature of the appointment to those positions, for instance. For instance, you go and get a senior man in education, very highly qualified, technical, knowledgeable, and you make him a minister of state for education. And you get, and I'm not abusing any of this letter, I'm really not attacking the minister.
The position, not the individual.
And I'm telling you the positions.
Bring it out.
Now you get a junior person for all intent and purposes in every way, and you make that person the boss of this experienced person. I want you to imagine management and administration. How do things work there? Now you go to the institution of inspectorate of government.
Yes.
Sure, I have parliamentarians here. Me, I want to challenge them. I was responsible for bringing the law of the Inspector General of Government in Parliament, which is currently working. That's when we proposed that we passed a law that there should be a substantive Inspector General of Government and 2 deputies. Ever since that law was passed, there has never been the 2nd Inspector General of Government appointed. As if that was not bad enough. When Monda left, there is no substantive Inspector General of Government. One deputy inspector who was there is now the substantive inspector who has acted for more than a year, which is illegal, which is irregular, and he's still again his own deputy, and he's one person heading that institution, depending on the mercy of President Museveni to confirm him or not confirm him. Is that an institution?
Nicolas.
Well, you see, I had the privilege of sharing a flight with the son of Masaja Birahwa to Nairobi.
Oh.
And I can tell you that...
Was it in first class?
Just forget about the class.
No, we want to know which class is it with the billions.
I don't travel first class. But the point that I want to make is that this gentleman we are dismissing as naive,
he can't be naive, man. He's a very smart man.
So corrupt. He's actually sitting on governing councils of 2 universities.
He owns the university. Yeah.
He sits on 2 governing councils.
Because he owns the university, so that's for
these are public universities in Kenya. But also more importantly, he actually has a very huge housing estate in Kenya that I think many of you do not even know about. I had the chance to go and look at them. Marvelous houses. No, so he's investing that money, I think, somewhere.
Did he give you one of those houses?
No, he hasn't. He hasn't.
Not yet.
But just to come back to the question of institution.
I wonder you better be careful. You seem to be getting close.
Is this a coincidence? God. How I wish it would have ramped on me. I haven't gotten the money here.
Not yet, maybe.
But more importantly, on the question of institutions, the fact is we have very beautiful design institutions and laws.
On paper.
The Honorable talked about, the beautiful laws, the office of the AKIJUL. The problem is not the law. The problem is not the institution. The problem is that all government institutions have been demobilized.
Yes.
Completely demobilized.
Gone on holiday.
Because the alpha and omega for everything in this country is the office of the president. I can tell you that the IG cannot charge a person of a high caliber without consulting the office of the president.
Can you imagine?
Or the Prime Minister's office. In fact, the argument is that Kenya went to prison because the IG was only able to consult Mbabazi, and so because they are forced, he says, just take this man to prison. The prison was caught by surprise that
they did not expect it.
That Kenya actually went to prison, and therefore went on a hyperdrive to get him out, by declaring him, innocent, by sending ministers to go and work at getting him out. So the truth of the matter is that institutions in this country just do not work. They are mere figureheads. Yeah, because everything starts and stops with the office of the president. I can tell you that every government institution in this country has a desk officer at State House.
Oh,
why?
Even cabinet ministers have alternative. Yes.
What do you mean by that?
They have shadow ministers in form of advisors within the president's office.
All right.
I used to have one also, my friend.
And you know that
shadow minister. No.
I've said before, and I won't repeat here, that if you put our institutions at test, if you benchmark, if you put some yardsticks, there's no doubt there is growth in terms of structures, in terms of our institutional capacities. However, the problem is that our institutions, like the mustard seed, grows into a tree and could become too big, are suffering because we are judging them when the founders are still around. I can assure you,
later they'll work.
If you we are again saying if those who will be there will confirm
that their bodies,
that how strong the judiciary, how strong the IGG, how strong the police. If you remember the police which we had without even a vehicle, without even a motorcycle, to what they are. But the point I wanted to first go to, the question you raised was the genesis of the problem. Masaja Birahwa irregularly got these offers from opposition KCC.
Opposition-led
KCC gave all markets State Square to Masaja Birahwa, a businessman by then little known. Whatever whoever is now suffering, the ministers, the governor, they are dealing with a compensation, irregularity in a compensation. But the genesis of the problem is the corruption in KCC, which was manned by opposition.
Why do you bring in the issue of opposition?
No, I'm trying
you said that corruption is not.
That's the point I'm addressing. Because you say you want to believe that Wasajabala is a Committe of NRM, and that's why I'm bringing this point.
Just
so if you are saying that,
I don't know how much you know.
No, if you said you are saying that NRM to Muzesevana,
so you think you could have been accounted for DP?
What I would want to say, corruption. I don't give my experience in Buliisa. Those who came to grab the oil wells and the land were saying we are tribalists to stop them. They are saying I'm anti-government because they are big people. And I said no. Now they are even saying my own relatives. Corruption is a vice. And in the other area where I agree with the Honorable Matembe, it's a vice. It is satanic. It's an evil thing.
Go to church.
And it does not know the party. So we must fight it as Ugandans, and we should not allow anybody to hide in the colors and in tribes. Okay. I said nobody steals for a party, and we are still ranting. If anybody was robbing for the party, NRM would have the
But you know, I don't know, are you NRM? Let me tell you, for me, I don't want people who don't see the truth, who don't see reality. I want this honorable member to tell us, didn't you see all this money that was flowing all over the country? I told you that in Ushenyi to go through that man, he's the king, he's the one who dishes all this money. You saw in Chankwa, you saw in Nambore, I'm talking of Nambore, when they were openly giving this money. My dear brother, do you want to tell me that you don't see the corruption within NRM when they are buying all these votes, and they dare to say that this was party money? When I used to be in NRM, let me tell you, with the movement, I've never been to the party, but within our movement, and we loved it, and we were strong, and we were there. All the time we had failed to raise money. We wanted to build a movement house. We even leveled 100,000 per individual. I don't know how many individuals paid it. So when I saw Mbaba saying that the 20 million shillings which they were giving to members of parliament, that they were off the membership money, which membership money can these poor people tell us they have when they in fact come to parliament here and they say they are walking on foot and they are looking for money, they are starving, they are so bad off? Which membership do they give? Which money do they give when they are always in the press that they are broke, that they are borrowing right and left? Which money is that they are giving about?
Next time, arrange two topics. We discuss commercialization of politics and then institution building, which is the challenge of all parties, including NRM and all the other.
Do you think this parliament will root out corruption?
I want to credit this parliament, and I want to credit it because it started well, and I want to credit the young people who are in there, because for me I have a big challenge to the young people. We have done damage to their country, and there they are, and we are going to leave things like that when they have nothing to inherit. Therefore, me, I applaud them for standing up and saying, look here, you aged people, you guys, you have done enough is enough, we must redeem our country. And therefore, I thank them. And I can't fail to thank Rebecca Kadaga, my sister, for standing firm and sitting there firm in the midst of all these threats and whatever they are putting on her. And she's Kadaga, and she stands firm and says, I'm going to steer this parliament into honesty and integrity. And I praise her and I thank God for her. And I want to thank God in case we close for the move, because I want to tell Ugandans
that is now a prayer warrior,
that Uganda is on the move. God is moving in the affairs of this country, and he's moving through the parliament. And I can assure you, this being a year of jubilee,
you are interceding now. You are interceding.
You can call him now. 12260390031226130. You can call in and tell us what you think about this topic. 2 ministers resigning, 6 now gone in a time space of less than 1 year.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maria. One, we are talking about patronage. Honorable Matembe is talking about patronage in NRM. I don't know how she becomes a spokesperson of NRM, but she got a scholarship as well. Was under the guise of health in the 7th Parliament to study her master's degree. Wasn't that patronage? Wasn't that corruption? Secondly, she's an ethicist just like me. Ethics calls for being rational, critical, and systematic. She should not talk about individual interests. We should advance the common interest. The common interest in this whole saga was about how to recover the money. And if PAC has come up with something, I think we need to hail them. Where there is a will, there is always a way. We've got a way out now. If people have gone out without the president pointing fingers at them, what is in the role of delegation? He has delegated PAC. There are so many other institutions that are in place that will handle the issue. So I don't think she has to choose the president, if anything.
All right, let's take another caller. Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Your name?
Hello.
Your name?
Hello.
Yes, hello. Your name?
Hello.
On Spectrum, your name? Okay.
Hello. Hello. Good evening.
Yes, okay, there seems to be a problem with that line.
Good evening to you all. Good evening to you all. My name is Makoro Kavuma from Masaja. But I would like Honorable Birahwa to tell us who is Vasaja Balaba. Because when you hear Vasaja Balaba, he's the one buying Muslim properties, he's the one buying everything, and we've started knowing that he doesn't pay even tax. Who is he? Secondly, I would like to thank the honorable ministers who resigned. But I would like you, honorable members of parliament, to take a step of seeing even the president should come aside, because everybody who comes in a committee, he starts saying that I was directed by the president. Why don't you talk of president to step aside and we get a committee to lead the country? Because the whole cabinet is full of corruption.
Bueno, con la Spectrum, hello.
Hello. Yes, this is Kumdingema. Now, we are about fighting corruption.
I'm sorry, you're calling from a very
Edmond, good evening.
Spectrum, hello.
Thank you for seeing the minister. I'm the Honorable MP and the former minister, Madam Matembe. I am AM as usual. To me, I see that at least our government is taking us the right direction, and what is happening is stepping down the resignation of the minister. That is a very big indicator that democracy is taking its root. Thank you.
Mine actually.
Let's hear from.
My name is Paddy Kayondo. I want to thank everyone who is in the studio and thank them for the good program. However, I want to disagree with the Honorable Matembe. When she tries to convince the nation that the majority of Ugandans overwhelmingly rejected the NRM government, when the record showed that 67% gave this government a mandate to rule for 65 years. I also want to tell her that the institution building is a process. It is not something that is that can happen one day. It's not like boiling matok. It's something that takes a process, because it needs attitudinal change. We are dealing with people, the values, with the people's etiquettes, people's culture. There are so many things that need to be changed when we are doing institutional building.
Okay, Honorable Matembe.
Yes, I want to answer that man just one side. Yes, they can talk of 65 mandate. That mandate was seriously bought and rigged and got in the midst of violence. And I think he knows what the election observers, what they said. He knows what they said. If he doesn't know, then I'm sorry. There is a difference between legal and legitimate. Yeah. I can assure you this government has been running its business illegitimately, although it is legal.
According to
many people. Let me answer my question. Why are you in a hurry? There is a woman called Maria. I think she's a visitor. Is she the only visitor in this country who doesn't really know about the corruption-related conduct of President Museveni? Because she ended up by telling me, you don't blame President Museveni. Look here, this is a president who, by the way, first of all, secured the abrogation of our constitution through corruption, the 7th parliament, when he bought people. I'll stop here because there is no much time, but I want to answer him. She said, I got scholarship. I don't know from where. I want to tell this public hearing me,
not even to Harvard,
that I have never got any government scholarship or sponsorship to go and study. If anything, I want the public to know that when I went to London, when eventually I secured myself sponsorship from the British Council, I had gone there for the treatment of my back. My back, which had been damaged by the doing of the constitution. And during that time when I was there, the government did not sponsor me, and shamelessly, the government never even allowed me to get any allowance at all. And the records are very clear. So for her to say that I'm corrupt, she's a liar, she doesn't know, let her get seriously informed before she impeach. She questions the integrity of Matembe because she will not get any evidence.
Honorable Birahwa.
The 9th Parliament salutes the people of Uganda for the support in the fight against the vice of corruption. We are happy when both government, institutions of government, and parliament can agree to work toward the same destination. We have the same country and we have a common good to fight for the future of this country. And we must be aware that there will always be speculators, there will always be dealers, commission agents who have appetite. I can only define Vasajawala as a businessman. If you allowed any importer in this country not to pay taxes, he would be happy not even to pay a single tax. It is up to the government to have good laws, good institutions, good regulations. As I've always been saying in the oil debate, the oil companies are not messiahs, are not philanthropists, are not here as missionaries. All we need is good institutions, is good regulations, good systems, and enforcement, which is a very big problem in Uganda, so that the appetite of the people like Wasaiba Jawala can be tamed. So he will get money. We have the bills in Parliament, and again Parliament is now on the spot. We want people to support the Speaker, support Parliament when we are making good laws, if I'm to refer that matter which Honorable has raised, so that we have systems, controls which check appetite of businessmen, whether they are Ugandans or foreigners. If you don't have systems, they will actually cheat you. So for me, that is my major concern. But we need consensus as a country, because the challenge we are dealing with, I can tell you, corruption, they can recruit members of parliament. If you don't check, they can recruit an executive, they can recruit business, they can recruit media houses, they can recruit civil society. So we just need to be very firm if we are dealing with them.
Just 2 points. Yes. Who is the son of Tajabalaba? He is the chairperson of the NRM Entrepreneurs League. He's a member of NEC. He's chairperson of NRM. So he's part and parcel of the NRM. I mean, people should know. He's also
he uses the money too.
Do you think we'll recover this money, Nicolas?
Yes, we should. Yes, we should.
Yeah.
No. See, you can't recover the money from a son of Tajabalaba.
Financial loss.
Article 164 subclause 2 is very clear that these ministers are individually liable for their misdeeds, and then we've got to get it from them. But the second point I wish to make, and very, very fast, is we have blamed everybody else time and again, except the chief executive. I think we need to put him on the spotlight and begin to question his role.
Well, this government
question his ability.
This government statement says government will take appropriate action against other public officials, including the ones not mentioned and those not mentioned.
By the way, do you know that the President Museveni, when we managed to prosecute the high-level people and imprisoned them, he gave them presidential pardon? When I was a minister, what is the biggest blow I got as a minister?
Why do you think the government ignored the KPMG report saying Basaja Balaba should be the one to pay the government?
Well, I told you who Hassan Basaja Balaba is. I mean, does it come as a surprise to you? He doesn't. He's part of the system.
Well, he didn't command for the payment to come to him.
How can he pay? For me, the issue of getting money from Basaja Balaba is quite very difficult because I come and I commit my request. This is what is due to me, and you agree and you give it to me, and I go and use it. And then you follow me and say no,
it's not just
Corruption Act. Under the Corruption Act, the minister who caused financial loss should be prosecuted under the Corruption Act because there is a provision there, and then if their assets should be followed. After all, some of them are so rich. They have many houses, they have all the estate. They have so much money which they have earned.
Thank you very much, Leader Diaga. Sorry about Miriam Matembe.
Edmond, before you go, just if you may allow me to pass my condolences to the family of the late Jacob Agua. He was appointed ambassador, never deployed. I learned this week that he died.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Miriam Matembe was the first ethics and integrity minister, the only substantive minister. The others, she's told us, are ministers of state. She's not a human rights activist. Thank you for coming to Spectrum. Mr. Nicolas Opiyo, legal consultant at AKIJUL, also a specialist commentator on social and political affairs, and Honorable Mukitaale Birahwa, born in the land of oil.
We can fight corruption without fighting government.
Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond.
Do we fight government? We fight corruption.
You don't have to talk about regime change.